How are you?
You might need to get a bit of kitchen roll. I couldn't find them. Sorry, guys. We're talking about tissue gate. How are we all?
We are a household that never has boxes of tissues. It drives Nanny
We've
mad.
had loads of boxes of tissues.
No, but now we have boxes of tissues.
We're a family that has boxes of
there
tissues
are
everywhere.
boxes of tissues in the house, but can we find them?
Yeah.
No.
What was I going to say? Is anyone here, or is anyone not here, but
Is anyone not here?
clinging to the table legs of their desk?
Oh my God! What a moment yesterday in Prime Minister's Question Time. Of course, the Prime Minister wasn't there.
It wasn't actually Prime Minister's Question Time. To be devil's advocate.
It was they called
because the reason it's important. It's a huge part of her defence.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
She wasn't meant to be there. This was a special question.
But it was a special question posed by the opposition in a time of extreme
national crisis.
And the nation needed answers from the Prime Minister.
I
think she's being very disingenuous.
I think the nation needed a nuzzle from their leader. That's what the nation needs at moments like this. A bit more than
that. No, I don't think so. That's patronising.
Okay, I'm going to play devil's advocate throughout all of this. Okay. I felt warm and cosy when Jeremy Hunt started talking. I thought,
hang on, no, Mark, don't, please, because you're going to make me sick.
I thought,
Don't fall for this shit.
I'm not falling for it. I just said devil's advocate. No, but think about the Tory rationale. They thought, we've got to put someone out there who's got a great, as someone said yesterday, bedside manner.
Underneath, he's got a knife to stab everyone.
James Hunt, I remember when he used to be the culture secretary. I think I might have interviewed him a couple of times. And he was trying to destroy the BBC back then. And he really is the smiling assassin.
What about when the junior doctors were in tears over the strike? He's vile, man.
He's the smiling assassin.
He
really smiles and sort of really kind of looks you all twinkly in the eye and then sinks a knife in the back.
But the point is, the Labour Party had asked for an urgent question to be answered. Yeah. And rather than the Prime Minister turning up, she sent Penny Mordaunt. Now, don't forget, Penny Mordaunt is one of those that was rumoured to take over, and of course she ran in the last mini election. I don't know what you call it.
Yeah.
And then when Liz was put into power, she demoted Penny Mordaunt.
So punished her.
So it seems odd. It doesn't seem like Liz would have chosen Penny.
No.
I wouldn't have chosen Penny if I was Liz and people were chattering about Penny taking over from her.
Okay, well, let's forget about what was actually happening. Here's what I personally chose to think was happening yesterday. Keir Starmer said, I want to ask her a question. We've got to ask this fucking government, this cluster mess, a question. They're reversing on the fiscal event, which, let's face it, is a fiscal catastrophe. Truss, I felt compassion, actually. I thought Truss went into a nigh-on panic. I thought she was having a nervous breakdown. I thought she was like Gene Wilder in The Producers, in the corner of her office at the Downing Street, and she was being slapped, she was wet, she was angry, hysterical. She was tired, she was hysterical. Now I'm wet and I'm hysterical. And I had visions of them actually not...
That's from a film, by the way.
Yeah, I have visions of them sort of pinning her to the wall and saying, don't worry, Liz. We'll send... Who would you like us to send?
Let's send pens out.
Let's send Pennywise.
So I can't remember who. Somebody else stood up after Keir and said to Penny, so, we need the Prime Minister here, but obviously she's hiding under her desk. And Penny Mordaunt actually said the words, the Prime Minister is not hiding under her desk. And as soon as she said it, the house burst into the loudest laughter you've ever heard. And you could see her think, why the fuck did I say that? Because, of course, that's going to go everywhere, isn't it? Yeah. Memes and hashtags, and the Prime Minister is not under the desk. Oh, my God.
But I think it was all made work, because I think she could have... I was asking questions like this at certain points whilst I was listening to... Because Penny Mordaunt repeatedly said, you're soon going to hear from the Chancellor, because she was desperate to get bloody off the podium and get on to Jeremy Hunt doing his sort of bedside manner type thing. But... I started thinking, what would you do if you were the Prime Minister and you had an enormous panic attack? I mean, it's not something you can demonstrate on the world stage. No. It would send the planet into sort of meltdown. Everyone, you'd be the laughingstock. And yet, in our tolerance of mental health, shouldn't we equally tolerate it in our leaders?
Hang on a minute. So she had got completely over it by the time she could sit next to
That's
him.
My point. At the point that she came in, she shot herself in the foot by walking in halfway through with a strange 1,000-yard stare on her face.
And I mean, she set the women's movement back.
Well, you say that. I don't know if I agree.
No. As a woman, I know exactly what sexist men, the way they will be thinking.
Well, I know what they'll be thinking.
Oh, come on, let's get the men in. Let's get the men back in. And you know, the Tories are always showing off that they've had 3 female prime ministers, but it's always been the men that have like muscled in and got them out.
I don't know if I necessarily agree. I mean, Penny Mordaunt was fronting the House yesterday. I mean, you know, I personally,
because nobody else wanted to. They used her as fodder. They threw her out.
But I don't think it's a gender thing. I know what you're saying.
I think gender is involved.
I know what you're saying. Well, for
sure
it will be involved behind the scenes, of course. But I don't actually necessarily think I'm not looking at it.
It's the optics, Mark.
It's funny that I haven't looked at it thinking,
because you're not a
women are
sexist
rubbish.
man.
Oh, right.
Of course, you're not going to think like that.
I just think Liz Truss isn't up to this. I don't think, you know.
But that's because you're not a moron. But think about all the sexist.
A bit of a moron.
All those sexist.
I don't know if I'm circumcised or not.
All the sexist men out there will just go, oh, come on, let's get the men back. And then the way he sort of came in and just like, no, that won't be happening, and this won't be happening, and that won't be happening. I mean, I know we needed that, but it irks me so much.
That's a great word, irk.
Irks.
I like it. It irks me. It's like being vexed.
But
it vexes me.
Who would have ever thought that we would hear the words that will go across the globe? The Prime Minister is not under the table. Well, we thought we'd seen it all in the thick of it. They need to bring the thick of it. Well, we don't need the thick of it.
We don't need the thick of it. I thought Keir Starmer's greatest line was, "The leader, I am not for turning up." I thought that was cracking.
Of course, that was Margaret Thatcher's
because her thing was, "I am not. The lady is not for turning." But this lady was not for turning up, and then she did turn up.
This lady is not for turning up. That's very good.
Very clever, very clever.
Do stick with us. We've got some juicy topics. We're going to be talking about...
Tell him.
James Corden, who's been very, very rude and been barred from
I just want to talk generally about James
Corden. And we're going to be talking about Married at First Sight.
And I want to also talk about Glastonbury, just briefly. I just want to have a little chat. But before all of that, Carly, Yuno's dear little girl, Sophie, who's 7... apparently she's a big fan of the channel, and she would love it if we could sing her a little happy birthday. She says hello and good night to us when she sees her mummy listening to us.
Oh, Sophie, hello, darling. How are you? Sorry, we're talking like that when we got there and cold.
And mum,
we
Carly,
can't speak properly because of our nose.
Carly, you may need to kill the audio after this because you know how awful we get.
We sing so badly anyway, Sophie, but with our noses being like this and with our throats being like this, it's going to be even worse. So
yeah.
Sorry, Sophie, but next year, hopefully we shall sing like angels for you.
So you ready?
Here we go for this year. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Sophie. Happy birthday to you. Squash tomatoes and...
people are asking why is the word cretin. You'll notice that whenever you put the word cretin in inverted commas, it's not what we're calling James Corden, because that would be wrong.
Yes.
It's what someone else has called James Corden, and therefore we're going to talk about why he's been called.
Well, let's do James next.
Let's do James Corden.
I've got to get some more tissue.
Okay, so this is the story of James Corden, who... It's a curious story, because it seems to have moved quite quickly. There's a famous restaurant. Well, it's a famous restaurant. It's in London, it's in Paris, it's in New York, and Balthazar. A sort of, very shoo, far, foo, celebrity-style restaurant. There's one in Covent Garden.
There's one in Covent Garden.
Yeah, which is a bit more approachable. It's
the
not so...
food is really nice, and it's not so much celebrity, and it's a brilliant atmosphere. It's expensive, though.
Yeah, but I'm going to say...
But their chips are yum.
And their acoustics are bollocking.
Don't go there if you've got something that's a bit hard of hearing.
You can't... we can't hear a fucking thing. I mean, if I was James Corden, I'd have lost my shit in that. What? I'd have been.
You would never. That's why I'm married to you, because you would never lose your shit with anyone.
No. So this is the story of him going to the Balthazar restaurant in Soho, downtown Manhattan.
The one in New York is very celebrity, it's all very A-list.
And there's a whole host of things in which he was rude to... the person serving him, he was rude to the person bringing the drinks. Yeah, I think so. You're going to have to.
So he arrived at the restaurant, he arrived at his table, and he was like, no, I want to sit outside the front. So they put him out the front, and then they ordered their food, and the waitress bought his wife's egg yolk omelette. What is it about America? Why is everyone so weird about eggs? Why do they keep separating them? I like an omelette with just it all mixed up. But anyway,
they're sort of suspicious
she
of the
wanted
elements
a
of an
pure egg yolk omelette, and with salad, and when it was brought, it had a teeny bit of egg white. So he called the waitress over and was horrible to the waitress. Told the waitress to take it away. Flipped his lid a bit, and so they made his wife another one, and brought it back. But this time they'd accidentally put chips instead of salad. That's when it says, I'm quoting here, James Corden began yelling like crazy to the server. This is the manager's report. You can't do your job. You can't do your job. Maybe I should just go into the kitchen and cook the omelette myself. The waitress was very apologetic. He returned the waiter. He returned the dish, and after that, everything was fine. He gave them champagne glass to smooth things out.
Imagine being his wife.
So he demanded drinks. Then there was another time, demanded drinks at the table. Then there was a time in June when, what was it? After eating his main course. Oh, yeah, he found a hair in his meal.
It's a disaster, that
old trick. And he was extremely nasty about it. This is the manager's report. Get us another round of drinks this second, and also take care of all our drinks so far. This way I won't write any nasty reviews in Yelp or anything like that. Now, I'm sorry. This is absolutely disgusting. It would give me, if you did that, like I'm imagining his wife sat there and she's got this little... I would flip out at him. I would be pinching him under the table. I mean...
But doesn't that give you the measure of someone that obviously no one in his group is there to even curtail that kind of outpouring of venom? Now, we need to update where this story's at.
Yeah.
He's since apologised.
No. He then got banned from the restaurant.
He got banned, yeah.
He got banned from the restaurant, and the restaurant owner
Here it is,
put it on Twitter.
Is a James Corden. James Corden is a hugely gifted comedian, but a tiny cretin, thus the quote cretin, of a man. Subsequent to this, though, they had to
and then he told everything.
Yeah,
he put everything on Twitter,
Yeah.
and then he then yesterday, I think, put out another tweet saying, "I've had an apology from James, and as I'm a man who's made mistakes myself in the past, I'm going to lift the ban and forgive him." Just thought,
well, Sophie are saying, did you read the story going viral on Twitter last night about him on the plane and his behaviour sitting next to his wife and baby? Astonishing. No. You see, now, this is one of those... A couple of things here. I've been marginally entertained by his carpool. That's
that
fine.
was it. He said, I'm going to come into the kitchen and cook it myself about the
I find it marginally entertaining. I do find it strange the way people can rise, and just lose all sense of perspective as to how to treat people. Or how it goes back to, we were talking about this the other day, the importance of treating people nicely, staff, people that you get coffees from, everything. It's just about being courteous. I think it's important also,
Mark, to say that this isn't just celebrities.
No, it's not.
People just think that some people, if they're serving them,
it's terrible.
that they have the right to talk to them like shit. I tell you what, I get so incensed with this. Like on a bus or in a supermarket, whatever, the way that some people talk to people is just absolutely disgusting. And since the pandemic, it's so much worse. Don't you think?
Yeah, but...
people have become rude.
I want to just talk specifically for a moment about James Corden, because I gave him a real passport, although I found it strange. Because am I right in thinking he came out and apologised publicly years ago, before he was in America, for essentially not being a very pleasant person to people? He said, I haven't been that. And I wondered whether within
that... We did at the time. We said, that's really good.
Yeah, that's refreshing. It's unusual.
I really believe when people... Like this guy said, actually, from Baltasar, he's rung up and he's apologised.
Yeah.
And hopefully that will mean he's not going to do it again. That's the thing, though, isn't it, with an apology? It's like...
Not
a full and frank apology, I think, goes a really long way. And I think that's as important to accept apologies as it is to...
Hi, Nanny Di.
To give them. Because it takes big heart on both sides to give them.
I suppose, given that he'd said that once and then you hear this again and then you begin to think, oh, God, is he just not a particularly pleasant person? I mean, I suppose the other thing that strangely happens in restaurants is that, for some reason, when people have outbursts in restaurants, there was a recent case of someone else, one of the radio presenters, wasn't there? People seem to think that it doesn't happen in public. It's like it's sort of almost hermetically sealed. It's not going to get out. It's like whatever happens in the restaurant stays in the restaurant. Well, it doesn't. Doesn't matter how far foo-foo the restaurant is. You know, if you're an absolute cock, someone somewhere is going to know you're a cock, and you run the risk of someone saying you're a cock.
Yeah.
I just don't get it. Anyway, so
But I think more, on another level, I think more often managers need to stick up for people. I think, you know, you should stick up for the staff. I think if a place gets known as not accepting abusive behaviour, wherever that is, I think it's important.
Elliot, hi Elliot. There's no excuse for rudeness, none. But I've met James a few times and he's been nothing but nice to me and helped me when he didn't need to, and has reached out to me privately when he didn't need to. You see, the other aspect.
Nobody is just one thing.
No, exactly. And the other aspect of this is that more often than not, when you hear a story like this, my first thought is always to go to, oh, are they under undue pressure, undue, stress? Is this a story that's been manufactured? But you're right. I mean, there's just simply no excuse.
I think
for
the
rude
fact
behaviour.
that he's apologised means he's admitted that he's done it.
Yeah.
But I do admire him for apologising. I think it's really good. I love an apology.
Yeah. It's just about learning.
I
says
never
Charlene
apologise unless I really mean it.
Yeah, no.
I won't.
Yeah, I've noticed
like,
that.
we'll have massive rows and Mark goes, you haven't said sorry. So I can't because
Yeah.
I don't mean it. Which means that when I do, I really mean it. And if you think about the times when I apologise, you'll know I really mean
But
it.
how do you know
There's been
you're the-
many, many times when you've apologised to me and I've known damn well you haven't meant
How
a word
do
of
you
it.
know? How can you be the purest judge of whether you should apologise or not?
No, it's not about should. I have to feel sorry in my
I know,
heart.
but hang
no,
on.
no, listen.
I'm listening.
It doesn't necessarily mean I'm right, but I can't say it if I don't feel it in my heart. And I can tell you exactly where this comes from. When we were kids...
Maybe you didn't feel it in his
And we
heart.
used to have rows or we would do something. And my mum would always say, go upstairs and you can't come down till you apologise. Right? And I wouldn't be upset. And eventually I would have to because I wouldn't come downstairs. So I would say this sorry. And inside I'd be crossing my fingers and I'd be saying... And I'm never going to make anyone say I'm sorry. I never force the kids to say they're sorry. Because I really resented having to tell, like... It was like an untruth. It wasn't like a lie, but it was like... From a child's point of view, I couldn't understand why I was being made to say something that I didn't feel.
Yeah. I agree.
You're just trying to shut me up.
I am, yeah. Because you're not going to apologise, are you, ever, for anything?
But what about your fake apologies?
They're not fake apologies.
Mark, you
Hang on a
do.
minute.
You go, I'm sorry, but I just want to say...
Can I-
And you use sorry so you can say a whole lot of other shit afterwards.
No. I will often offer up an apology, and this happens in many walks of life as a parent too. I will say sorry because I think for the greater good of the peace of the nation, it's better that we all move on and push on.
No, but you don't do it good enough, so it makes it worse.
Yeah, because it's false, and at the end of the day, I'm just trying to be a peacemaker.
Exactly. I don't like it. Just don't say it. Let's just move on without anyone saying sorry.
Do you think your attitude could account for some of the reason why the Middle East is so up in arms?
Jackie
we
Bellino,
need a bit more diplomacy.
Margaret McCarran, can I say I love your show, Margaret McCarran? Yes, you can, Margaret. Thank you. Ding, ding, ding. Round
But
3, Natasha Tiramos.
Can I just say, Elliot, thank you so much, because it is important to know that people are more than one thing. And
course they
also,
are.
the other thing about people in the public eye is that huge judgments can be made from what essentially amounts to 30 seconds of experience of someone.
I think
Do you
it's
get
the
what I
fact
mean?
because there was various accounts and
yeah.
other restaurants. So you're not only in that restaurant,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
there are other restaurants.
Yeah. No, just I think just be a bit careful to how you talk to staff now.
I mean, but I am a great believer as well in that we are the sum of many parts.
And also, we are floating. Look, at the end of the day,
I can
from a
honestly
mental
say
health
I've never
perspective,
screamed at
we are floaty sacks of weird hormonal gunk. And it's not surprising that as we float around our lives in our floaty sacks of hormonal gunk, sort of rubbing into each other, bumping up against each other, saying sorry when we don't mean it, it's not surprising that shit comes out of us or stuff seeps out of us that isn't perhaps what we want to seep out of us.
Do you know what I think? Do you know what I think is important though, Mark? Do you know what I think about? There is a hierarchy, right? And wherever you are, there is a hierarchy. And if you're in a celebrity restaurant, where you know you're a valued customer because you're a celebrity and you're going to spend thousands of pounds at the table, that waiter is below that person in the hierarchy. That's why it's never forgivable. Now with me, like if there is somebody that's on the same level as me, and Lee will know this, like another person off the telly or a manager or whatever, then I would have a stand-up argument if I needed to. But I would never with somebody that in the picture of the world would be seen differently in the hierarchy because and that's what I think. And hormones or anything,
hormonal sack of gunk,
that never would break for me.
Okay, fair enough.
And I think that's what we're talking about when we talk about this behaviour. It's like, no.
Yeah.
Turn round to your manager or phone a friend, but don't do it to the waiter that's shaking a bit now and now's bought the chips instead of the salad, and then go for him again, because that's me.
I agree. So,
Not just talking about James, just generally.
No, generally. Quick story. I just wanted to ask, would you want to pay £340 for a Glastonbury ticket?
Well, I
It's
was looking
gone
for a
through the
plain
roof.
jumper yesterday that wasn't itchy. And
Glastonbury tickets are costing
they're like
£340.
£100.
£340 for a Glastonbury ticket. Emily Evis,
Everything
obviously the
is so
daughter of the guy who
expensive.
set it up, has had to go online and explain that, you know, this is because they had to cancel for 2 years in a row. I'm sure the cost of living has hit the fact that it's going to cost a fortune to organise the actual event. But £340, I mean, there's a lot of people up in arms about this price.
You know, it's the same thing again, Mark. That they pack that place with thousands
I know,
upon
thousands.
thousands.
The experience
so
is
what
not an
you're not going to
experience.
make enough money, because those thousands of young people aren't going to be able to afford the 340 quid.
Yeah.
So it's just, for me, I mean, not that I know anything about numbers, it seems a bit...
Well, it's ludicrous, and also the
None of
experience.
Maddie's friends would be able to afford
No,
that.
and the
Or
experience since the days of when I used to go, I mean, it's becoming less and less of a personal experience. So you're just really asking people to pay money to stand in a really busy field, not seeing very much, kind of trading on the idea that the atmosphere is really brilliant. I just think
pricing normal people out of it, exactly. And there's too
I
much
think
of that
festivals
going
need to
on
be
in this
smaller.
country.
Lee Peart just makes an important distinction here, or important.
Lee's saying something important.
An important
Lee, what's wrong
observation
with
about
you?
the James Corden story. Can we also point out that receiving chips instead of salad is a bonus? I'd be thrilled.
Exactly. Well, I then went into, because you know me, Lee, I'm always trying to understand, and I went to Mark, oh my God, because he has lost a lot of weight. I wonder if it was seeing the chips and not knowing he was and knowing he wasn't allowed to have the chips that tipped him over the edge. And then I was like, oh, Nadia, you are such an empath. Stop.
Lucy Card can't afford to put the heating on, let alone go to Glastonbury. Exactly. I mean, anyway, lots of people are talking about boycotting this year, saying it's become just too much. It's too much. The experience is too rotten.
I just
and all that
wonder,
kind
as
of
well
stuff.
as a business, can you say really to people, the reason why we're making it so expensive is to load on all of what we've lost, because everyone that's buying those tickets has lost over the last 2 years as well. You can't be making up the loss for the past. None of us can. I mean, we were self-employed people, so we weren't working. You can't just go, okay, I'm going to load it all on now. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, it's not going to work, is it?
No, it's not going to work.
I mean, they're only going to have half the amount of people.
Exactly. It was the last, or virtually the last night of Married at First Sight UK last night.
And what kind
We
of a
haven't-
show,
we haven't
so
been
that
able
when
to-
every single episode, we've watched 35, 40 of them,
Yeah.
has been at 9 o'clock, and then
Yeah.
they suddenly change it to 8 o'clock.
Well, it's actually, strictly
So we
speaking,
missed
it's the
it.
last episode tonight, but it was kind of the last episode last night, I felt.
exhausted.
We were going to do lives. Obviously, our live kind of updates at the end of the day kind of got completely scuppered by our illness. We were going to go live last night and then discovered the programme was on at the wrong time.
It's like now, doing
I'm
this
just-
live, I'm going to have to lie down for an hour.
I'm
afterwards.
just
so
absolutely
exhausted.
flabbergasted. My biggest headline is I can't believe that Matt and... Well, I can, but I also can't believe that they didn't even sort of pretend that Matt and things
Well, I've
relationship was
got
together
very
until...
strong theory on that, which
what is-
I'm going to tell you about afterwards, because I can't say it live on air because it wouldn't be fair.
Oh,
but I
okay.
have got and I know I'm right.
Yeah.
And somehow, some way, I will find out round the back, because I will chat to other MAFS people.
Oh, I see.
Because I think I know what happened.
Oh, okay.
But you, of course, can
Wow.
say what you think happened. What do you think happened?
Yeah, for anyone who doesn't know, this is Married at First Sight UK, which is ground to a halt. Lots of viewers, The Sun are reporting, were confused. This happens a lot, and I think we just need to explain something for some viewers. Lots of stuff that you see on television is pre-recorded a long time ago, because I think a lot of people
Yes.
have been watching it thinking, how are they still together? April and George. We thought George had been arrested. And
Oh,
all
yeah,
this
it's
kind
very-
of stuff.
but
This is
everything's-
shot a long time
I mean,
ago.
even
ago.
when you're watching the experts watching them, they're not watching that live. They'll be watching a recorded, edited version.
Yeah.
Because you just couldn't. It'd be hours and hours of them watching.
Debbie Otero, we will be doing a catch-up, a House of the Dragon review to catch up. It's just...
Oh my
it's just so
God,
good,
we
so
watched
good.
an episode last
What do we
night.
think?
Oh, I know what I wanted to ask. Can you do a poll?
I think Whitney wanted fame. Did you watch Sam and Emmerdale? No. Just wanted fame, says Leslie Sargent. such a shame about Whitney and
I'd
Matt.
just like to
Charlene
just say one
Horrocks.
thing. Whitney, look at Whitney yesterday. She looked very different from the Whitney we've seen every
You mean
other
she seemed
time.
very depleted? Yeah, she seemed sort of like she'd had
That's
the
what I'm
wind
saying.
taken out of her sails. Yeah,
Yeah.
he seems very, I don't know.
Don't say too much.
Okay,
We can't
right.
really say. But
right.
I just wondered if anyone was picking up on the same thing as me.
Yeah. I tell you what I was thrilled about was to see Zoe and Jenna clearly. They're the love union of the series, aren't they? I love the fact that a positive lesbian relationship is coming out of this series as the one, given everything we know about what happens with April and George after all of this, as the one kind of shining relationship that kind of comes out of the series. I think that's great.
I know a lot of people think that the relationship experts put people together on purpose that would fail. I don't. I truly don't believe. That is so complicated for a programme and for all sorts of reasons you can't do that sort of stuff. And when you think about how people have been put together, on paper, they do really work. Now, who would know that George was going to turn out to be who he was? You can't quantify every single thing in a person. But what I wanted to say, and this means it's relevant to anyone that hasn't watched this programme.
Jordan and Shanita, that was a shock.
As much as people that have. And I know we've said this before in our lives afterwards. I have been fascinated by how many of those people, and some of these relationships are true love and they've worked out, would have swiped on the first date. They wouldn't have done the second date. And for all of you out there, Lee, you can listen to me on this as well. You've got to give things more of a chance. You've got to. You've really got to. Just, oh God, I don't completely fancy them. Oh, I didn't really particularly like this. You will never find somebody if you do that. Now, I'm not talking about red flags. If somebody's a nasty fuck and you're picking up those things, that's a different thing. But if somebody isn't quite right and you don't quite fancy them, or when their legs were a bit weird, or I didn't really like their top, and we do these, just silently, we do these calculations in our head. And this programme proves you've got to stick it out for a bit. You've got to try and get to know that person underneath. Now, the gay relationship between Thomas and Adrian, I was fascinated by them. We've actually become DM friends, all of us, haven't we? We loved them and we loved their relationship. And I thought it was just fascinating. The way that they worked through shit. And like they said, in their world, they wouldn't... I mean, in the end, they weren't in love and they didn't stay together. But it just showed us so much of what we need to be doing. We're a throwaway society and we throw away people too quickly, I think.
Zoe says, I know I can be fussy, but nobody ever wants to see you again. It's so strange these days. Natasha...
Well, Zoe, I'm going to keep saying the same thing to you. What do I keep saying to you, Zoe? You need to join a sober dating site.
Wow.
You need anybody, right? Because the thing is, when we're young, Mark and I were the same, we just got drunk through every one of our dates. Now, we were lucky we stick together, but I think it's really hard. And I would give anyone that advice. If you keep on meeting people and it keeps not working, question how much you're drinking on that date. And, you know, I mean, God, we were watching First Dates the other day. Oh, my God. And there was this couple and he just went for it, didn't he? He was just, because he was so shy.
Yeah.
And
look, Zoe, I did go on a sober date. It's still the same. I don't really get drunk on dates anymore because it's so deflating. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't necessarily stack
No, I'm not
up.
saying it's a guarantee.
No.
But I'm saying, first of all, I think we have to be sober.
Yeah.
Because we can't make the right judgments or not get pissed.
Yeah.
And
Outlandish creations really relating to you there, Zoe, as well.
Yeah, it's just so hard. But there are so many good people out there.
Natasha Tiramos, I believe people treat dating like shopping for a handbag nowadays. No one is perfect. I think Shanita, can I just say, Shanita is lovely. And I think Jordan was, he was scared of commitment. I think she's the real deal, Shanita.
I sent her a really nice
She's the
message
real
yesterday.
deal, and I think he's a very sweet guy, Jordan. I just think he's too young and he needs to have lived life a little bit more to understand what it is I think Shanita's offering him. Because I think he can see it when he's in a group.
I messaged her last night and I said, we were just heartbroken, me and my husband,
Yeah,
watching
she
you.
was
DM'd
ripped
her
up.
and I said, you were just so beautiful, and you're so smart, and you were so articulate with your feelings, and it's just he's not ready for that.
Yeah, there's no criticism of him. It's just he's. I
So
think
you
he's too
just
young
have to just keep, the one thing I didn't like about the series was everything was slanted towards all the women waiting to
needing.
see if the
Yeah,
men
yeah,
were
yeah.
going to want to come back. And it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
no. Editors and producers, you
Yep.
should have done something to redress that.
I agree.
Why is it always the women waiting to see if the men are going to like them or not? Because they were all punching. Most of the men were punching, if you ask me.
And let's not go near the Kwame Acacia kind of. That was a bit bit orcs, wasn't it? And lovely Thomas making amends with people there. Okay.
Oh, I miss being in a relationship.
Oh,
Who's that? I miss
Keely
being in a
Windle.
relationship since my marriage ended so lonely. Oh, Keely.
oh, sweetie.
Big hugs. You know, there's lots of people that have made lots of friends on here. And we know that because people contact us, and we absolutely love that so much. I can't tell you what it means to us that people have made meaningful friendships out of our platform here.
Yeah.
And I know that there's other people that feel like that, so reach out. And
Amy
chat to each
Fenton,
other.
dating is so difficult in your 40s. So many men are emotionally unavailable. Yeah, I can understand that. But Barry, we need to get rid of the terms seeing and dating. They're not the only terms. There are so many gradations as to whether you're in a relationship or not in a relationship. It's staggering and also the system of phrases for being in or not in a relationship are tilted so in favour of, in heterosexual relationships, the male to have a hold on the behaviour of the woman. So are we sort of going solo together? No, but we're enough interested that you shouldn't be talking to other men. It's weird. There's a kind of strange not strange. There's a misogyny even in the terms that we use for whether you're with someone or not with someone. So I think the whole thing is tilted in the wrong way in a sense. Rhys Roberts, I think what is ultimately difficult in the landscape of dating, which is often that you can meet the right person at the wrong time when you're both in different mindsets and ambitions. Yeah, very much agree.
It's like trying to see through that, isn't it? Yeah. And it's really hard to not define yourself by whether you're in a relationship or not. I mean, I know it's a really crass thing to say, but it is about building your strength as you, for you, and almost not wanting it, and then it will. I know that's a really old-fashioned, annoying thing to say, but it is kind of true.
But I think you made a really valid point.
When I met you, I didn't want a relationship at all.
No, neither did I.
I pushed you away.
And one of the really interesting things I thought from the series, which, albeit that Thomas and Adrian didn't stick together, was you really saw two people working through the really difficult moments. And even though they didn't get to a place of love, they got to a place of mutual respect and friendship by the end of the show. So, it's that idea that I do think we live in an age where we don't think we have to work for those. We think things should just come on tap. We think they should just be freely available, and if they don't work immediately, it's not necessarily about also I should have or entitlement. It can often be about self-esteem, which is if this hasn't worked immediately, then there's something about me that's awful.
Wrong.
So it's not always about, it's just that I want this, what I want, whatever I want, whenever I want to go shopping for as you rightly say, Natasha, I think there is that element of shopping for a handbag. But I don't think it's all just that. I think sometimes it's also about feeling shit about oneself. So anyway.
Maybe all you single girls on here should all go out together. Yeah. But guys, can I just ask you quickly, would you want a menopause Q&A today? Because it's menopause day today.
Yeah.
So I thought, somebody asked yesterday, so keep your eye out on my Instagram. I'm going to see I'm going to see if I feel up to it later, and if I will, I'll do a live Q&A with you guys.
Yeah. Yes,
All right.
please. They're coming through.
Lots of love.
Lots of love. Have
We
a lovely
love
day,
you.
guys.
Bye.
Bye.